This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Is Google DeepMind building agents? And Apple finally has a large language model, kind of, and there's a new humanoid robot that uses ChatGPT and interacts in real time flawlessly. There's so much going on in the world of AI news, and you can spend hours every single day trying to keep up, or you can just tune in with us. We do this almost every Monday. So welcome to Everyday AI. My name is Jordan Wilson, and I am the host. And if you're new here, well, Everyday AI, it's for you. It's to help everyday people learn what's going on in the world of generative AI and how we can all leverage that to grow our companies and to grow our career. So if you're new here joining us on the podcast, thank you. We normally do this every Monday, as long as, we're not on the road somewhere else. Speaking of being on the road, we are on the road, but more on that here in a bit. So let's get going. And just as a reminder, if you haven't already, go to youreverydayai.com. If you can't catch us every day, don't worry. We always recap each and every show on our newsletter, as well as we now have more than 220 back episodes on our website. So it is a free generative AI university. Go check that out at youreverydayai.com. All right, but let's get into the AI news that matters. And if you're joining us live, thank you. Like Peter Scuda, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, get them in there. It should be a fun show. There's a lot going on. So let's just dive straight into the news that matters for the week of March 18th. All right. So first and foremost, Google DeepMind has introduced Sima, an AI agent that plays video games. So Google DeepMind has announced this new AI model called Sima, and it can play video games based on natural language instructions. So this model has been trained with the help of 8 video game studios and can perform over 600 basic skills, making it more efficient than models trained on one specific game. So Sima is a generalist AI agent that can play video games based on natural language commands. So the ultimate goal from DeepMind here is for the AI to be able to play games by itself. So you might be thinking, all right, why does this matter? Well, this is kind of, I think, the first official foray from Google into what could be considered agents, right? So this new initiative from DeepMind is widely being reported as Google's first semi-official foray into agents, or smart AI that can make human-like decisions in real time without any human input, right? So that is kind of the big trend of 2024 so far is autonomous agents and, this AI being able to work without much human input really at all. So this thing from Google DeepMind, a lot of people are just looking at this as, okay, Google's, creating an AI that can play video games just to showcase its ability, but it's really much more than that. This is kind of a fun and engaging testing ground for what we all expect to be the next phase of generative AI, which is agents. All of the big companies are working on this. And when you combine it with humanoids, it's going to get wild. So more on that here in a second. All right. Our next piece of AI news. And if you caught this a couple of days ago, you might have been scratching your head kind of like I was. All right. So OpenAI's CTO gave some mixed answers on training data for its AI image model, Sora. All right. So if you don't know, OpenAI's new text-to-video model, Sora, has sparked controversy for the sources used for its training data. And CTO Mira Maratai avoided questions about the subject in a recent interview. All right, so if you don't know Sora, don't worry, I'll give you the super high-level overview. So OpenAI just started releasing new outputs just about a month or two ago. So right now it is not open to the public, but OpenAI researchers, as well as a select few kind of designers and motion graphic artists have the ability to use Sora right now. So essentially you can, with text prompts, create some very impressive AI videos. And kind of the big thing that has separated Sora from other, text to video kind of offerings so far is the quality, right? So we've seen from Runway, we've seen from Pika Labs and others, the ability to create some still, very usable, very inspiring, I might even say, text to video with their different generative AI models. However, Sora, it blows it out of the water. So we've shown comparisons before. That's not what this is about. But, in general, a lot of people were wondering, because of the high quality of the output when OpenAI just released this, is, how did they train this? And in this interview, it's a little interesting. So we're going to play a clip here, but it was in a recent interview with the Wall Street Journal. So OpenAI CTO Mira Muratai avoided questions about the sources used for Sora's training data, claiming that it was just publicly available and licensed. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and play a clip here and let you all hear kind of in real time. So this is a reporter from the Wall Street Journal asking OpenAI CTO Mira Muratai about Sora's training data. All right, let's go ahead and take a listen.
What data was used to train Sora?
We used publicly available data and licensed data.
So videos on YouTube?
I'm actually not sure about that.
Videos from Facebook, Instagram?
If they were publicly available, publicly available to use, there might be the data, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and link this out from the Wall Street Journal reporter in today's newsletter. But yeah, a lot of people were kind of taken aback by her response, as was I. It almost seemed like she wasn't fully prepared for that question, probably knowing that would be one of the main things that someone would be asking you about when sitting down, just because, all of the conversation so far around OpenAI's Sora has been, how are they so far ahead of everyone else in terms of quality? So the training data has been a topic of debate before this interview with the Wall Street Journal. So definitely, it's definitely worth talking about. And yeah, if you're listening on the podcast, so Juan here joining live. So thanks for joining. Juan said the facial reaction says it all. So yes, when asked about the training data, Mira had a very uncomfortable look on her face, and yeah, it's already been making the meme rounds on the internet. But yeah, this to me is a pretty big miss from OpenAI. I think if you're gonna go out and have a sit down interview about a model that has really taken the creative and the advertising, the marketing, the AI worlds by storm, you have to be prepared to answer some basic questions about training data. So yeah, the facial reaction, it kind of like what Mike 4G here is saying live as well. That mouth drop is a guilty signal. Yeah, it was a little cringy if you were watching on the live stream. But yeah, don't worry if you didn't see that yet. We're going to be linking that out in the newsletter. All right, let's keep going with more AI news that matters, and a big one. I actually intentionally plopped this in the middle of the show just in case a couple of y'all joined in late. All right, so Apple has released a paper previewing its large language model, MM1. Yes, that's right. So it's an interesting approach here on Apple's release of this, but let's just go ahead and go over the details first. So Apple researchers have released a paper previewing their new large language model, or actually it's their new MLLM, or multimodal large language model. So yeah, we're going to be hearing and shifting that conversation probably over the next year from LLMs to MLLM. So the difference being, with multimodal inputs. So Apple's research team has developed a new highly capable multimodal large language model called MM1. All right, so interesting naming so far. So we're not sure if this is going to be the name when and if Apple finally releases this. However, a little confusing, in my opinion, just because Apple's new chips, that they debuted about, 2 or 3 years ago were called the M1. So there was a lot of talk around M1 chips. So now you have the MM1 model. So again, we're not sure if that's what it will ultimately be called, but that is what is being referred to now. So right now, this model comes in three sizes and outperforms most competitors on tasks such as image recognition and natural language reasoning, but it still lags behind Google's Gemini and OpenAI's GPT-4. So right now, MM1 is a multimodal large language model developed by Apple, like I said, in 3 different sizes. So they have a 3 billion parameter model, so much smaller, 7 billion parameter, and 30 billion parameter. So even the larger one, at least right now at 30 billion parameters, is still a fraction of the size of Google Gemini Ultra 1.5, as well as GPT-4 Turbo, which is reportedly 1.8 trillion parameters. All right, so again, right now, this is, as far as I know, at least as of a couple hours ago when I checked last, you can't go out and use this model, at least right now. It is not publicly available. So all we have right now, which is important to talk about, and which I think it hasn't been grabbing so many headlines just yet, is because this is just a research paper, kind of showing some different results, inputs that they generated, and outputs that they were able to get from those inputs, and kind of looking at the multimodal aspect of it. And I think one of the things that Apple is seemingly stressing about its model's kind of focus in the paper, at least, and as you'll see on screen here, is the ability to better kind of both work seamlessly within text and images, and also images within text, which I think, if you want to have a highly capable multimodal large language model, it has to be able to both read and understand text in photos as well. So it seemed like that was one kind of key differentiator that Apple was really pushing with its new MM1. But yeah, I'd love to hear. Yeah, a big agree with Carolyn here, saying it's a big reveal. So I did kind of mention that because it was interesting, right? Because we've been hearing now for months, right? And I've said it all along. Apple is never first to the party, right? So, we didn't expect, Apple to release a large language model, months after ChatGPT or anything like that. Apple has been historically known to not be the first person at the party, but to be the coolest kid, and to usually have the most polished interface, the best user experience, etc. So there have been many reports that Apple has been spending millions, yes, millions with an S, millions of dollars a day on development of their generative AI, on development of their large language model. So again, we're not sure if this is all they have, if this is just an early iteration, and what may eventually make its way to our devices, right? That's what is most important. And I think, the obvious thing on why this matters for all of you out there listening is because of Siri, and because of the future of edge computing, edge AI, or on-device AI, right? And I think that's, even by looking at the parameters of the model, you have to think that that's where this is heading, right? So the reason why, something like a GPT-4 Turbo is so incredibly powerful, because it is a huge language model with, reportedly 1.8 trillion parameters. So when you look at these kind of 3 reported sizes, or these 3 kind of published sizes that were in the paper of 3 billion, 7 billion, and 30 billion parameters, presumably these are models that could fit on devices. So similar to how Google's Gemini Ultra now lives locally on their Samsung S24 phone. And that really changes what you can do with a large language model. It changes, the capabilities of generative AI to be able to run something locally, right? Like, as an example, I was, over the last 2 weeks, I've been on probably 25 hours worth of flights, or maybe 20 hours worth of flights. I can't do the math right now, but, I couldn't use a large language model. I probably would have liked to, but, you have to have a very fast, internet connection, which, as an example, airplanes don't. But, I think when you talk about Apple, where this really is important is the next iPhone, right? So we've been talking about the WWDC, the Worldwide Developer Conference, from Apple in June. Presumably, they will be announcing what they're going to be doing with this, whether it is this MM1 large language model, whether they're going to be releasing a couple. But presumably, what's going to happen is this: you're going to have a Siri that is actually smart, right? So I know I'm hard sometimes on smart assistants like Siri and Alexa, but if you use large language models a lot, like I know a lot of our audience does, And then when you use something like Siri or Alexa, there's a lot to be desired. However, I do think even just by looking at the parameters and the sizes of these three flavors of MM1 from Apple, you have to think that this is coming to edge. This is coming to on-device AI. And to be able to run a model locally, as an example, on your iPhone, on your smartphone, is really a game changer in terms of productivity and also how we all interact with generative AI. And that's something that I talk about a lot here on the show, because I don't think people fully realize or understand even the importance of something like prompting, right? So what happens now when we have these, maybe MM1 coming to our phone? You have to be able to learn how a model works and how to be able to work with it to get the most out of it. So this is really going to be a common theme that we're going to continue to see, but we did expect kind of some more announcements from Apple, but it was an interesting announcement that they did this via a research paper release. It's not the normal Apple playbook, right? So normally you get complete silence and you get a big reveal at a conference, or maybe you get some leaks ahead of time, something like that, a spicy promo video that makes people ooh and ah. So this is an interesting approach here from Apple to go the scientific paper route. Personally, I like it, right? We even saw with Google with their original Gemini. I think they really botched its release. A lot of people, myself included, really criticized Google heavily for a heavily edited and marketing, and, not to tell you the truth, not super truthful representation of their Gemini model. In their original marketing video that came out, I believe, like December 5th, it was kind of showing all these, capabilities or reported capabilities for Google Gemini that it could not actually do. So I don't hate the approach here from Apple, but an interesting approach nonetheless to go the scientific paper route. All right. And hey, let me know from the live stream audience. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of Apple's approach here? Do you like it? Is it confusing? Have you read the paper? Again, we'll be linking to the paper. If you can't find it, don't worry. We already dug it up off the internet. So we'll be linking to that in our newsletter today as well. So make sure you sign up at youreverydayai.com. All right. Our next piece of news. And this one, as crazy as it sounds, this one might be the biggest piece of news that we're talking about today. So Figure has demoed its ChatGPT powered humanoid bot Figure 01. So we've talked about Figure 01 here on the Everyday AI show a couple of times, but up until a couple of days ago, when this demo was first released, all we really had, or all we really saw were specs. All we saw and heard were promise. So anyways, let's go into a little bit on Figure 01, and then we're actually going to play a little demo as well, so you guys can hear and see and watch this as well. But Figure 01 is equipped with an advanced AI and visual recognition capabilities, and it showcases its ability to perform tasks and engage in conversations with a human. That's the key differentiator, and potentially revolutionizing many industries. All right, we have to pay attention to this. It is going to, I think, be I hate using the word game changer, so I will just say this. I think it is going to greatly impact the future of how we all worked. The Figure 01 robot is equipped with what Figure is calling a new visual language model. So VLM. We have so many acronyms today, right? We have LLM, MLLM, and now we have visual language model. So the visual language model allows Figure 01 to smoothly interact with humans and perform tasks simultaneously. So its developers over there at Figure have included those that have worked at companies like OpenAI, Boston Dynamics, and Tesla. And they have very ambitious goals for their humanoid robot to control, and billions with a B, billions of robots. Yeah, crazy, right? But this is also why they have some of the largest investors in the world, including, I believe, we talked about this on the show 2 weeks ago, but Microsoft, OpenAI are both huge investors. NVIDIA, Salesforce. I mean, it's a who's who of who is investing in Figure and their new Figure 01. So let's just go ahead and let's just show a quick little demo here. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'm going to play about a minute of this. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and link this full link this full video in today's newsletter, but hopefully, even if you're listening on the podcast, you can kind of understand what we're talking about just from this short little clip. Let's go ahead and take a watch and take a quick listen.
I see a red apple on a plate in the center of the table, a drying rack with cups and a plate, and you standing nearby with your hand on the table.
Great. Can I have something to eat?
Sure thing.
Great. Can you explain why you did what you just did while you pick up this trash?
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
On it. So I gave you the apple because it's the only edible item I could provide you with from the table.
Great. So based on the scene right now, where do you think the dishes in front of you go next?
The dishes on the table, like that plate and cup, are likely to go into the drying rack next.
Y'all, was anyone else just extremely impressed with that demo, or is it just me? So let's talk about if you weren't joining us live, if you're listening on the podcast, you can probably assume what was happening there. But again, this is said to be real time, which is always important because, again, like we saw with the Google Gemini and with just all new generative AI systems in general, you always have to know exactly what is going on behind the scenes. So presumably this is in real time. And like Juan is saying here, and everyone's saying, wow, Monica's saying unreal. Cecilia with the PG-13 language, edited though, so I love it. Yeah, it's Tara says, sign me up, love his voice. So, what is literally happening here is presumably this is in real time, and the figure 01 is powered by ChatGPT. So, aside from, yes, this seems like a very realistic conversation, but what's wild to me is, when we talk about AI and the capabilities of AI, I think this is something that we overlook is having someone that can both help with everyday tasks. So on that side, hey, who wouldn't love a humanoid robot? I think all it takes right now is like $250,000 and probably a minimum order. But who wouldn't love a humanoid robot to be able to go around and put your dishes away, right? Like that would be fantastic. Or to be able to fold laundry. So speaking of that, I do have to now draw a comparison because with figure 01, at least with the demo so far, it can operate independently and is not necessarily pre-programmed. Speaking of folding laundry, it was Tesla's Optimus bot that went viral a couple of months ago for simply folding a t-shirt, but that was something that it was programmed to do. So I can't state loudly enough how impressive this demo is with figure 01 powered by ChatGPT. Here's why. We've been talking about, robotics on this show for a while. We actually have a great robotics show for you later this week, which I'll get to here in a second. But I think that for the most part, kind of these humanoids or robots or whatever we're supposed to be calling them, they've been very limited in scope. So they've maybe been trained to perform a series of tasks. But for the most part, that is not a relationship per se, or that is not something that is really applicable across different fields, whether it's in home, work, automation, manufacturing, etc. Because guess what happens in real life? Things don't go according to plan. So, as an example with Tesla's Optimus bot, if it was folding laundry and, there was a huge gust of wind, could it continue to fold the laundry? I don't know. Presumably it could, right? But that's why I am super impressed so far with Figure 01 and what it's been able to do, because it is, as you just saw there in the demo, or as you just listened to, it is having a real-time conversation with a human. Again, presumably it's real-time, a real-time human conversation and an interaction. And not just that, but being able to explain its rationale. The thing I loved is in that demo, when the gentleman asked Figure 01 kind of why it did what it did, he asked it to do it while putting trash away. Guess what? I'd hate to admit this. I wouldn't be able to do that. I would make a mistake. I am terrible at multitasking, right? Like if my wife is asking me to, a question while I'm putting dishes away, I'm definitely either going to put the dish away in the wrong spot, or I'm not going to be able to fully process her question. So that is why I think it is extremely impressive, because in this demo, Figure 01 was able to not only complete a task, but also to hold a conversation about something that was unrelated to the task. So when we talk about the future of generative AI, when we talk about even the real world application of large language models, right? This is powered by ChatGPT. This does not work without a large language model like ChatGPT. So it is using, its ability to process information and then to speak the information as well. And if you didn't check out our kind of AI in 5 video last week, OpenAI and ChatGPT did just unveil a whole lot of new features for its kind of its ability to speak back with you with some much more realistic human voices. So if you heard that voice there, super realistic. It doesn't sound very AI generated, kind of a smooth voice, right? Yeah, it's kind of like what Juan's saying, having a Rosie the robot back from the Jetsons. Yeah, I can't, Tanya also can't wait till I can afford one of these to clean my garage. Yeah, I would love for it to clean my garage. All right. Let's wrap this up and talk about one more piece of AI news that matters, and that is the NVIDIA GTC. All right. If you are joining live, you might notice my setup's a little different here, or maybe even if you're listening on the podcast, maybe my audio quality isn't as crisp as normal. But that is because I'm on the road right now, just a couple blocks away from NVIDIA's GTC. But let's talk about what's going on. So NVIDIA is having its first in-person GTC conference in 5 years, to be held right here where I am today in San Jose, California. And this event will bring together AI leaders and top companies across various industries to showcase breakthroughs and advancements in AI. We have the Jensen Huang keynote today, which should be extremely exciting. I'll be there. So if you have questions, I'm probably either going to be on LinkedIn or maybe on Twitter. So make sure that you're following us there and ask questions too. What do you want to know? I believe I'm going to have an opportunity tomorrow to do a kind of informal Q&A in a small group with the NVIDIA CEO. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you want to know from NVIDIA? What questions do you have? Where do you see everything going? So pretty exciting. And this is, I would say, one of the most anticipated kind of tech conferences. I'd say it's got to be top 5 in the last 10 years, right? NVIDIA hasn't had an in-person conference since 2019 because of the pandemic, but also, I mean, here's the reality as well, right? 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of people maybe thought of NVIDIA just as a chip maker, right? Maybe you thought of NVIDIA if you're a gamer and you need a certain chip, or if you're a video editor and you need a better graphics card, right? That is not what NVIDIA is anymore. I had an episode last year where I literally told people that NVIDIA was the most important company in the United States, and it was the most important company to the American economy. Guess what happened after that show? NVIDIA has almost tripled in market cap in less than a year, which is historic. And the reason why this is such a highly anticipated conference is because right now, NVIDIA has an unfair advantage over everyone else. All of the, large language models, right? So even, presumably the figure 01, because it's powered by OpenAI, one of its, biggest partners is OpenAI. So everyone is, NVIDIA, everyone is using NVIDIA's GPUs to power the future of AI, to power large language models, to power generative AI, image, video models, everything. So NVIDIA is actually the epicenter of the future of tech, marketing, and business, and how business is getting done. So it is a highly anticipated conference. I'm extremely excited for today's keynote as well as the conference. All right, so speaking of the NVIDIA GTC conference, if you haven't already, go ahead and check out our show notes. We have a link on there where you can register for free. Unless you're from San Jose or San Francisco, it's probably too late to come in person, but maybe you're listening and you can still buy tickets, but you can also attend the free virtual event. All right, so again, check out the link we have here in the description of the live stream and our newsletter and our podcast. You can go ahead and sign up. And at the same time, we have instructions there to enter into a giveaway for a free GPU. So yeah, maybe your computer's a little slow, or maybe you want to run NVIDIA's new Chat with RTX, but you need a certain chip to do that. So go ahead and just by signing up for the free conference, you can enter into the giveaway. All right, so here's what we have this week. Speaking of NVIDIA, I told you I'm in a different location. Yeah, so here's what we have. A lot going on this week, some special shows, some exclusive interviews that I am extremely excited about. And also, if you are an avid, viewer of our live stream, can't thank you enough. But today or this week, we're going to be doing double duty, even today. So make sure to, check out our newsletter that we sent out last night with our complete schedule. But tomorrow, we will be having Malcolm DeMeo, the Vice President of Global Financial Services at NVIDIA, talking about making money moves and how NVIDIA is using AI to change financial services. Wednesday, we're going to be talking with an NVIDIA partner, Evan Sparks, about how to create and capture value throughout your biz with generative AI. That is one I am going to be extremely excited about. Everyone's always asking, how can I create value, or how can I actually use generative AI? And then how can you tell of its impact? We're going to be bringing that to you on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, speaking of robotics, we are literally talking with the director of robotics at NVIDIA. This is going to be a great conversation with Amit Goel, talking about robots among us, how NVIDIA is building the future of robotics. And then last but not least, on Friday, driving the future forward, NVIDIA's vision for an AI-powered transportation. All right, so many great conversations planned for this week. We're going double time. So maybe we had a little break from live streams. Maybe you missed, the live streams. So we're just doubling down. We have a lot of great shows planned for you this week. I hope this show was helpful. If so, please consider sharing this, repost this. If you're listening here on LinkedIn, we spend hours sometime for each show to put it together. It takes you about 10 seconds to go ahead and click repost, or maybe on Twitter, etc. Or if this is helpful, please leave us a review. So that is it. So I hope to see you back even today and every single day this week for more info and more action and announcements and breaking news from the NVIDIA GTC. And we hope to see you back every day for more Everyday AI. Thanks, y'all.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.